The first time I saw Linda Gray on Dallas, I felt those eyes stop time. They looked like rain right before a storm. At 85, her story still hits like that. Here is the twist though. She turned a small role into the soul of a giant show, and the big awards never truly followed. She carried scenes that made whole families hold their breath. And off-screen, she carried losses that, I still struggle to say out loud. This is not gossip. This is the full human picture. How a woman became a legend, then took that same grit into theater, indie films, and real service. Meals on Wheels runs, United Nations Goodwill work, quiet hands knocking on doors with food and dignity. If this sounds like the kind of messy but real talk you want more of, that's what we do here at Golden American Legends. So yeah, subscribe if you want in. I grew up thinking the past was a museum, and then Linda taught me it is a mirror with cracks that somehow make the image stronger. Today, I want to show you how those cracks formed and why the light still gets through. I promise we will keep it respectful and real and simple, like two friends talking at a kitchen table. Are you ready to see the woman behind the saddest eyes on television? Because once you know that girl behind the glass, the rise to Dallas feels very different, and it sets up everything that comes next. Linda grew up near the big studios, but she was stuck behind a shop window. Her dad fixed tiny watch gears while dreams marched past on the sidewalk. She got sick young with polio and fought hard just to stand and breathe. That fight put iron under her soft voice. School plays were tiny lifelines. A flower one day, the Virgin Mary the next. To most kids, it was nothing. To her, it was oxygen. Then life pulled a weird card. She studied commercial art. A project needed a model. No one showed. She stepped in. Soon she was on hundreds of ads, everywhere and no place at once. Famous and nameless. That hurt. The graduate poster sealed it. They used her legs, paid almost nothing, no credit. She said she felt like a ghost. I get that ache so much it stings. But she kept going, slow like a watch hand, tick by tiny tick. She tried bold roles, even a groundbreaking part that got canceled fast. Each loss was a bruise and also a lesson. Like, hey, if they will not see me, I will teach them how to look. Do you know that feeling when the world watches you but does not really see you? Because when the call finally came from Dallas, all that quiet pain turned into fire, and that is where her story explodes. Dallas planned Sue Ellen as a shadow. Linda made her the axis. Those eyes told the truth nobody wanted to say out loud. Lonely wife, bad love, a drink that felt like a life raft in a chain. She brought the pain home some nights. She said she cried Sue Ellen's tears in her own bed, and we felt it. The mirror scene cut like glass. The balloon scene made time stop. The JR eulogy was quiet thunder. Fans still ask how the Emmys missed that level of work. She got big nominations, sure, but not the statue people expected. Awards are tricky. Timing, genre bias, TV politics. Meanwhile, she just kept building the role, week after week. She even directed the finale after pushing through walls that said no to women. That matters, because the craft was not shiny talk. It was muscle, it was breath, it was a whole life poured into a character who started as a footnote and became the heartbeat. If you had to pick one Sue Ellen moment, which one lives in your bones? Hold that thought, because the echoes in her work came from echoes at home, and those were louder than any applause. Here is the part I kept circling. On screen, a trapped wife. Off screen, years inside a marriage that dimmed her spark. She loved her kids like air. She also felt herself fade. That tug of war shows up in her acting, you know? You can feel the conflict under the lipstick. After 20 decades, she chose freedom. The tabloids pounced. They wrote cruel headlines that made real life into a cartoon. She took the sting and turned it into art. Then she found a quiet love for a long while. It ended softly and still hurt hard, like being erased from a book you helped write. Years earlier, cancer took her sister Betty at 43. That grief never left. So she worked, not just on sets, but in service. Meals on Wheels routes, United Nations Goodwill trips. She showed up with food and time and listening. That is not a photo op. That is a doorbell and a warm hello. On stage, she stepped into The Graduate and Love Letters and found new gears as a performer. In indie films, she chased truth over flash. What do you do with pain when it will not leave? Hide it or build something honest with it? Because the hardest chapter was still ahead, and it would change everything about how she lives now. In 2020, Linda lost her son Jeff to leukemia. I have to slow down to even say that. A mother should not outlive her child. She shared a beach photo and a line about his light, and it broke 1,000 hearts at once. Since then, she keeps close to her daughter Kay and her grandsons. Garden mornings, gentle yoga, simple food, walks that feel like prayers. She sold the old ranch home and chose quiet. She still shows up for select events and causes, but fame is not the point now. Presence is. She honors her sister through cancer work. She honors her son by loving the boys who carry his spark. She says, you never get over it. You learn to live with the wound. At 85, that is what grace looks like. Not spotless, not easy, just honest. If this kind of story matters to you, subscribe, because we make space for legends who turned hurt into hope. Thank you for watching and sitting with this one. I mean it. Stay curious and keep going with our next episodes, where we pull more threads from the golden era and see how they still shape today. And tell me, when life writes a scene you never wanted, how do you choose to act in it?